Chaos Reach and Geomags had some rough days in Destiny 2, but today we're going to remake a Geomag Chaos Reach build to use inside of PvE. Whether you want to use this build for easy content, or you just want to use it in Master and Grandmaster activities, then you can do just that. This will be more of a mixed ad clearing and team support build for whichever type of content you intend to use this in, and you will easily be able to make adjustments to suit your own build preference. So guys, this video is sponsored by Aware, so as always be sure to check them out below and use my code DIVIDE for a cheeky discount. And now, before we start, do leave a comment of what you think about Chaos Reach currently as of Season 15, and leave a rating to show your support. But now let's start. So this build does have a few different ways that you can use it, using different types of mods that you prefer. Whether you want faster supers, infinite ammo at the cost of super energy, or you want to just become a Warlock god, then you can do those by making a few slight changes to the initial build setup. But if you don't like this build, then why not check out the playlist link below for more fun and crazy builds to use in endgame PvE this season. But with this one, we will be primarily focused around using our special weapons for DPS, and using our finisher on adds to provide all sorts of benefits depending on the mods you have slotted in. But I will go through my setup of the build, and then you can make those changes that you wish to. And I will also note that this build does cover all champions in the game, as well as all shield elements for match game requirements. But how you'll use this build is firstly perform a finisher on an ad. This will spawn 2 arc elemental wells, as well as special ammo consuming some super energy. Then picking up those 2 arc elemental wells will give you 4 stacks of charge of light, as well as increasing your intellect for faster super regeneration. From here, you'll either have mods like Protective Light to give you extra protection using those charge light stacks, or you can use Energy Converter to regain that super energy that you lost by throwing a grenade. And well, in simple terms, have infinite special ammo, because using your finisher will use 1/3 of that super energy, then throwing a grenade will give you that straight back. That is, if you decide to use Energy Converter with high discipline. Now, setting up this build, starting with the loadout, like always, you can use what you want, but the setup I've got covers everything, which will be a bow for overloads, or an auto rifle for anti-barriers if you don't have the lament, then a void fusion rifle for unstoppables, and the solar lament sword, which also comes with a built-in anti-barrier perk. Then of course our subclass has the art covered, so from there you have all champion mods and shields covered in the game. You can use the 1000 voices if you prefer to. Both the 1k and the lament are great for endgame, alongside the Vexsmither class fusion rifle, which I don't currently have unlocked yet, as I don't really raid much these days. But for the subclass, we are going to be a middle tree arc Chaos Reach that does come with Ionic Trace. This is where defeating enemies has a chance to create Ionic Traces, and collecting them grants us energy to all our abilities. This, alongside Elemental Wells, should give you your abilities fairly quick, so there's really no need for any ability cooldown mods with this build setup. But the exotic armor we're using is of course going to be the Geomag Stabilizers, which did, by the way, get a small nerf this season, as previously you were able to get extra super energy by sprinting when you were close to the full super, but that is no longer the case now. But what this exotic does is actually extend the duration of Chaos Reach when you are damaging targets with that Chaos Reach. Great to use on a group of tough ads along with bosses. Now moving on to the main mods, the very first thing you'll want is Overcharge Wellmaker. This is so that we can spawn those 2 arc elemental wells when we use a finisher on an enemy, and then we'll be using Font of Wisdom to increase our intellect when picking up those wells, which will give us a faster recharge rate of our super. And the next mod we have will be Elemental Charge, so that we can become Charge Light when picking up those wells. And we will get 4 stacks, as our next mod will be Supercharged, so that we can hold an additional 2 stacks of Charge Light. This does need to be started into solar armor, but our main Charge Light mod will be your choice. For endgame, I'd recommend a Protective Light, but for easier content, you could use Energy Converter, which is great if you use a special finisher, because that mod will consume our super energy when we use a finisher, but then picking up those wells that we generate will give us 4 stacks of Charge Light, and then throwing a grenade will give us that energy straight back. So you can use those 2 mods to have infinite special ammo. But for your normal armor mods for the helmet, I'm using fusion and sword ammo finders for our special and heavy weapons. And then for the gauntlets, we have a champion mod or mods that you need. If you need multiple, take out the stat mod, and if you're using Font of Wisdom, you can also take that out as well if you need to. But for the chest, I will be running my damage resistant mod alongside my sword reserves. Fusion Scavenger for our special weapon for the legs, and then lastly for the class, special finisher and passive guard. If you're using 1000 voices or only care about DPS with fusions, then you can put on a particle deconstruction mod instead, and maybe take out special finisher. It's completely down to what you prefer and how you intend to use this build, but for your stats I would max out intellect and discipline to 100 if you can, for that faster recharge rate on your super and grenade. Now overall this build isn't the best Warlock build in Destiny 2 Season of the Lost, since it did have its Geomag nerf, and it's honestly never been perfect, but it's something fun and different to use if you want to get away from using the same build all the time. And not just that, you can use this build in those endgame activities, but of course it won't be as effective as other top tier PvE builds in the game, like the Well of Radiance build, or even the Nova Bomb build, but for what it offers, it's not terrible. If this isn't the build for you, then be sure to check out that playlist for more top fun builds to use in Destiny 2 Season 15, because there are a bunch of crazy builds in that playlist. But guys, this does conclude the Warlock's Geomag Chaos Reach build. Do post your thoughts and ideas down below regarding this build, rate and subscribe if you want to see more like this, and I'll catch you all very soon for the next video.